Sleep is one of the most important topics in our lives. We spend something like a third of our lifetime in that state. But how do you actually optimize that? That is the topic of today with these two products, but mostly this, because this is the newest addition to my sleep routine, or at least in some nights. This is a sleeping headband, or also for fitness purposes, and it actually has inbuilt speakers. This product was sent to me free of charge by Ever, and of course I will link to it in the description down below. Now, with products which are more lifestyle focused and less around microphones or video creation, it's always an interesting journey to actually find that fit. But in this case, it's a product that I actually was kind of looking for a couple of months ago, and now with the company reaching out, that was a possibility for me to try out and see how it affects my sleep, how it affects my life, and whether or not this product is actually worth your buy. Now, I am one of those people that really enjoys listening to like dream journeys or meditations when I go to bed. Sometimes also some types of binaural beats or something similar. Now, wearing big headphones like these, the Bose QC, which are my favorite headphones that I have right now, and also wearing headphones like the Apple AirPods, for example, is not necessarily ideal. These here prevent you from lying on the side completely. So if you wear these and let's say you are like this, you cannot wear those and sleep on one side because of course this is a really big and hard surface. So essentially the only way of sleeping with these is straight up in your bed looking at the ceiling. Now on the other hand, if you have something like the AirPods, then it's a bit of a different story. I think those are actually something that you sometimes can wear as a sleeping headset. However, with these in my ears, the problem is that I usually have the issue that I lose them overnight, and then I have to find or search them somewhere in the bed, across the cushions and in between, like the crack between the beds if there is some, or stuff like that. So again, not really ideal because these are easily lost. And sometimes they also have the pressure, so you have something like squishing in your ear and might be painful, and then you want to get rid of those. Now these, on the other hand, are a completely different story. But before talking about the specifics of the technicalities of this sleeping headband here, I want to talk about why I think sleep is a topic that is really interesting. And that has everything to do with the fact that we spend so much time sleeping, and optimizing that might actually lead to optimizations throughout your life. For example, wearing a sleeping mask. This, for example, has really cool cushions so that your eyes don't actually have to touch the inside of the mask, which I always found incredibly annoying, and that was the reason why I looked at one of these sleeping masks. Why a sleeping mask might be a question that comes up around that topic, and that has everything to do with the fact that sleeping in a completely dark room, basically a blacked out room, would be ideal. Now, I would love to have the ability to have that in my home. However, currently that's not a possibility to make it completely blackout dark. We have blackout curtains now, and also we are trying to keep that all protected essentially as a sleeping space. But of course, there are always imperfections, and especially if you want to sleep on a flight or if you want to sleep while traveling and your hotel room might not have blackout curtains or they're not good enough, then something like this comes in really, really handy. But the other thing with sleeping is that it is about rejuvenating and relaxation. And with relaxation, I think something like this headband comes in really nicely because of those, for example, sleep or dream journeys that you could listen to when falling asleep. And those, at least for me, help really to relax my body more into the sleep state essentially, and help me to get more out of my time in bed, and by doing so also get more energized for the next day. Now, what about the technicalities of this specific sleeping headband? Now, first of all, you get a bit of a box. Then, of course, you get a charging band, which is a USB-A to USB-C charging band. And of course, a manual, which is really helpful because you have a couple of buttons on this thing here, which are not necessarily that easy to understand. And I actually would have preferred if there were a couple more buttons. And then, of course, you have the headband, and that has speakers on either side, and those are really thin. they're not perfectly thin because you still need some vibration to happen for the sound to actually be produced by the speakers, but they are really thin. And of course, there's like no comparison at all between these two. Like you have about, I don't know, maybe 5 millimeters or something like that of thickness here, and this of course is a couple of centimeters. So that's not a comparison at all. Then of course the material is a bit stretchy. Depending on your head size, that might be a great fit, or it might be too small or too big. That might be a situation for you. And I think the feel is relatively nice. Now, something that I noticed while wearing this, and of course that looks a little bit like this, was that this also gives you more warmth around your head. Now, if you are a person that does not like to have the warmth around your head, then this might not be for you. But it's also something that I have noticed or experienced with wearing sleeping masks or trying to somehow block out the light. And that oftentimes leads to me having a bit more sweat around the area up here on my forehead, and of course also on the sides and so on. But that is kind of to be expected when you are wearing anything around your head. Now, the position of the speakers, for me, that is pretty much ideal. Right now, those are exactly on my ears right here, left and right. And if I press on them, it's not necessarily all too uncomfortable. It's not something that would massively disturb me while sleeping. And I have tried this, of course, in the last couple of nights and seen how that actually affects the positioning that I can choose or not choose. Now, you're not as free as if you're not having anything around your head or on your ears or something. But for me, it felt really easy to find a comfortable position that I could also variate between different positions and have a good experience that way. Now on the forehead right here, you can see you basically have the Bluetooth module, and I'm not necessarily 100% positive on whether or not that is good for your health to have that Bluetooth module right on the front right there, or if a wired solution would be healthier. However, right now Bluetooth is the way that this year works, and for that purpose, I did not necessarily notice anything bad happening or stuff like that. But maybe my sweating also comes from that. But to move that out of the way, we are with Bluetooth and we are with wireless technology. So that's just, again, a given for this type of headband. And if you want to make any kind of sports or you want to sleep without a cord between your phone and your headband, then of course this is a given. Now on the front right here, you will see that there are 3 buttons. There's a plus and minus button, and there is the play and pause button. The play and pause button essentially is the one that helps you manage the on and off state and then also play and pause. And you also can actually accept and decline calls when they come in while you are wearing this headband. For example, when you're doing a workout, ideally when you're sleeping, I hope you have your device in do not disturb mode so that notifications and similar don't actually disturb you. Now then on the left and right, we have a plus and a minus button, and those actually have a dual purpose for skipping to the next or the previous song and also to changing the volume. Now I actually had to figure that out with the manual because basically what you have to do to change the volume is to press and hold, and that changes the volume up or down, and you will hear a beep 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 sound when you reach the maximum or minimum loudness of your device. Then if you open up this headband, then you have a zipper at the top right there, and there you actually have the charging cord. Now here I have one of my usual criticisms, and that is that this headband can only be charged with a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. It cannot be charged with a USB-C to USB-C charging cable, which in my opinion, if you are putting USB-C on one side, you might as well put it on both sides. And it just doesn't make sense for me why that is not supported. It's probably something inside of the electronics, but it is always annoying when that is the case. Then you also can take this out. So for example, right now, this here is the Bluetooth module with the buttons right there. And then if I compile this over and look for the speakers, where are they? And I'm getting closer. And there we go. And then there we have one of these speakers, and it actually has a bit more padding around it. and is really nice and small. And now the reason why you might want to actually take those things out is because then you can of course also clean this headband without any issue. You can hand wash it, or you can actually throw it in the washing machine, as far as I read from the description in the manual. Now, I have not tried that. I have just used it for a couple of nights at this point, and I'm not gonna wash this every single night whenever I use it. But if you want to do sports with this, for example, or you want to use it on a regular basis for sleeping, maybe it's a good idea to also wash this every now and then, maybe once or twice a month, something like that. And overall, I think that the implementation that they chose here is really nice in terms of having the ability to take things out, in terms of having a really small module put in the front so that it's not actually in the back, because that would be really annoying. So I like that they put it on the forehead with the control surface. Now, one thing that you might also be wondering is the sound quality. And granted, I wouldn't necessarily compare the sound quality of these with something like the Apple AirPods or the Bose QC here, because they're just not going to give you the same kind of sound quality that you would get from those other types of headphones. But that's also, of course, kind of to be expected because of this specialty use case and also the pricing of this headband. But for the use case that it is for, and to just be a nice accessory for your sleep so that you can either drown out noises from around you, or you can listen to something that you're really interested in, or you want to listen to something while you're doing sports and you want to have a headband right at the same time, or you might want to just listen to a dream journey when you're falling asleep for deeper relaxation. I think these here are a great accessory for travels or for the purposes that I just mentioned. Now, with that said, I think a focus on sleep is really important. Investing into different things to try out whether or not it is actually improving your sleep quality is part of that. And of course, for example, things like a sleeping mask, things like headsets that you can listen those kind of dream journeys or relaxation stories or relaxation music or something like that when that helps you, or if that helps you, and figure out what helps you get to a more relaxed state, helps you get more energized throughout the night, or better yet, get more relaxed throughout the night and then energized in the mornings. I think that's absolutely worth it because it gives you a possibility to push forward throughout the days harder and better with more power so that you can live a fuller life. And with that, if you have any questions, you can leave those in the comment section down below. If this video was helpful or interesting in any kind of way, I would appreciate a thumbs up to the video. That's also great. And of course, subscribe for more videos like this, as well as my journey of daily video creation that I just embarked on. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm at Chris Spiegel there, and of course also linked in the description below. With all that said, I hope you have an amazing day and you sleep really, really well, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.